I want to talk about some things that are close to your heart.
Mm.
Bob, you have a son who has autism, and you've
Yes.
devoted your life to raising money for autism. To me, the scariest part of it is knowing as you get older, if your kid's in bad shape, I'm going to leave the world, my wife's going to leave the world.
Yes.
Who's going to take care of my child?
It's such a complicated thing, Howard, because there are so many kids like my son. Yes, he definitely has very high needs, and he's nonverbal for the most part, and he's had various issues. But there are, what's complicated is that there's it's still, autism covers this enormous spectrum.
Is your goal with I want to announce this charity event. I think people want to watch it. It's a lot of funny people. Are you trying to find a cure for autism?
No.
Are you just trying to, what are you trying to accomplish?
Here's the thing, and I will say this, like Night of Too Many Stars, my wife and I started like 18 years ago, and the whole point of it was to be the fundraiser that was not about a cure. And I'm not going to tell you that when my son was first born and first diagnosed, and we saw his skills regress, that we weren't very scared for him. And our first thoughts were about a cure. That's where all the information that we were getting at the time was about, there were no autistic voices out there for the most part. It's very different now with social media and with people just evolving and learning and feeling empowered to speak. But back then, Michelle and I just wanted to help our son get through this and learned how to communicate his needs. That was our biggest concern. And we had a lot of trouble getting into any kind of school at all because there was such a shortage of it. So that's what we focused on. We were like, Jesus, if I can't get into schools for my kid with my dog puppet,
right.
It's like, imagine all these people who don't have dog puppets.
You make a good point. I mean, you're a very successful writer and producer of things. How expensive is it?
My plan is never to stop working because I know that Daniel is going to need people helping him all the way through his life. And, he lives in a house with other autistic individuals, young in their 20s. And Daniel got COVID, and it was our biggest nightmare. Like, oh my God, what if he's going to have to be quarantined within his house, and he's going to have to be confined in his room. But all these people who worked at the house, like, raised their hands, like, I'll put on the PPE and I'll spend hours with him.
Wow. Did he understand why he was being, I don't know what his level of understanding is, but is he able to explain?
I think he understands. This is something I always deal with, people like Daniel. A lot of people kind of assume because Daniel's nonverbal and because Daniel seems to not necessarily be responsive all the time because he's reacting to sensory issues constantly, that they assume that they can talk about him like he's not there. That's something that drives me nuts, because I refuse to make that assumption. I just know Daniel is a whole person. He's not somebody who has some disorder that's prohibiting him from whatever you think, like that he's just incapable of connecting with people, that kind of thing. These people are whole individuals with feelings and needs, and it's very important to remember that and not treat them as anything less than, full human beings. And they're entitled to the best opportunity to have the best life that's possible for them. And that's worth a ton of money.